Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Today is a special day because we celebrate 40 years of the ICMAB in a scientific way, let's say. Yesterday, we got a really favorable report from our Strategic Advisory Board, and the result of that report isn't just the last couple of years. It's built on 40 years of hard work by lots of people. All over the Institute, all the support staff, all the administrative staff, and all the scientists, of course. The people who organised this event, Rosa Palacin, Ignacio Fina, and Ana Laromain, thank you for taking on the task of organising this. Thought it would be great to have Xavier Obradors present his perspective on the Institute, because he's been here almost from the beginning. So I'll introduce him in a moment. But before I do that, I'd really like to think about where we are as an institute at the moment. So for me, it's a key moment because next year we'll ask for the Xavier Ochoa project again, as you know. And I think it's really important to get some inspiration and step back for a while, look at what we've done, which is what we did over the past couple of days, but also to get ideas from other people, to see where we're going to go in the future, maybe not just in the next Xavier Ochoa project, but beyond that. So the idea of this is to have excellent speakers from outside. I'm very glad they accepted. Thank you for coming and talking to us, to show us a bit the state of the art in their area and where the exciting challenges lie, because we can take inspiration from that for the ideas that we might have in the future. So thank you all for accepting to come and give us your ideas and show us what you do, because very often you're here, especially the SAB members are here talking to us about what we do, but we don't see what they do. So it's fantastic they can do that. And we really look forward to the day. And I'd like to thank again Rosa, Ignacio, and Anna for helping organize this. Xavier, as you know, was director of the Institute for 15 years, I believe. Yeah. I was vice director with him for a few years. And then Rosa joined the directorship team. We learned an awful lot, I think, during all of that process. And certainly I wouldn't be standing here if it hadn't been for that kind of apprenticeship I did with him and all the things I learned with him. He, in turn, I guess, learned an awful lot of things from Carlos Miravitlles, who was the director before him. So this is very much a chain. No one shows you how to be the director, but I think all of us have a great pride in this institute, and his talk will show that pride, and his perspective, I think, will really inspire you. So I've already seen it, so I'm sure it will. So let's give a round of applause to Xavier, please, and look forward to his talk.
Thank you very much. So it's a great pleasure and an honor. What happens? Okay. To have the opportunity to make a snapshot of the 40 years of ICMAB life. Of course, it's not a real history of the ICMAB, but I think it's useful to have this opportunity to think about how the history was established and how we can go and look to the future. Okay. So because we are a material science institute, I think it was a good exercise to show that actually there is a strong parallel between the classical nucleation theory, so how you form a crystal and how you form a center of excellence. And so I tried to follow this parallelism in order to realize what are the essential steps. As you know, in the nucleation and growth theory, you have first energy barriers before some seeds of the crystals become stable. So then you form nanocrystals. Then the crystals grow through some nutrient feeding, so something which arrives and allows to growth. And at a certain stage, it starts to have some coalescence. So the nuclei start. Okay, thank you. At certain stage, there is the coalescence where the nuclei interact, and you have some interfaces. You need to heal in some way these interfaces, and only after all this process you get a real crystal which can be functional and use it for something. So in the case of Center of Excellence, you have a similar process. You have first the nucleation process where there are a lot of energy barriers in order to really be established, and a lot of initiatives, or let's say crystals, seeds, don't succeed. They don't cross these energy barriers, okay? We'll see then what are the specific things that we have. In the second stage, then we have a growth. So the groups need to increase, need to be talent. So this means to have talent attraction, diversify the research, and so on. And then at a certain stage, you need to make some coalescence of these crystals. So to have a real integration of the objectives of the Institute. And this was the strategic projects that allowed us to have a definitive formation of a crystal of something which is really functional and works well and is able to face important challenges, okay? So at the initial stage in the nucleation, the typical barriers are first the institutional support, of course, but then to have a stable personnel, you have building, long-term commitment, equipment, and unless you have all these things, the institute cannot be formed, okay? During the growth stage, you need to have, as I said, nutrient feeding. So this means funding attraction, knowledge generation, space available, scientific leadership, competitive services, and so on. So this was a stage where ICMAB was also strongly growing at this time. And then at the stage of the coalescence, you need to integrate in an interdisciplinary and create synergy among the groups. So in your ecosystem with the synchrotron and other centers around you to have a support structure which is really functional, strategic plans, international impact, and so on. And this is the more interesting part that as you will see. And finally, of course, then we have the present stage where we have a functional crystal which is able to face strong challenges, and we need to know how to survive with this structure and to face and analyze what we need to do in order to survive in this environment. Of course, we have not made this long career alone. We have been always supported by the different scientific advisory boards. So these are the chairs that we have in all these scientific advisory boards. Manuel Cardona was the first, that was very helpful. Some of you know them. And all the other ones in the Severo Ochoa stage with Luis with Martin first as a chair, and then now Maria José Valentí. So these people and all of the people belonging to this scientific advisory board were very helpful to develop the institute properly in the right directions, okay? Of course, if you want to survive and to promote an institute of excellence, you need to have a proper direction teams which promote and stimulate all the people, which is, of course, necessary in the institute. As I said before, David Carlos Meravides was the first director in more than 20 years. And so all the stages of nucleation and the growth process was mainly led by him. I took then the stage of the coarsening. I made the main contribution as a director, and now David Amabilino with the shaping crystal, okay? Of course, we had deputy directors, first from the UAB, Jaume Casabó, then David Amabilino and Ana Roig, Rosa and Ricardo, and now Martí and Lourdes. So all these people is stimulating and promoting that the participation of all the people at all the stages of the staff are contributing to the success, okay? And that's very relevant contribution. The snapshots that I can mention on these 40 years are many. I have just selected a few of them, but of course the first one is the nucleation stage. The ICMAB was formed from people coming from other places, so mainly the other institutes of CSIC, University Autónoma Barcelona, University of Barcelona, and UPC. Not all of them become stable. Some disappeared and some continued. And then, of course, the first barrier was to have the ICMAB building. It was in 91. We had very important European projects already since the beginning, so the international flavor of the institute was immediately put in order. And also the collaboration with industry. With Carburos Metálicos, we made a common laboratory here already in this institute, and was a seed, which is now MadGas venture, okay? Also, the growth of the square meters was essential. So the third floor was already in place before the year 2000. And after this, the building of Mad Gas was helping to further develop. At that stage, we also created the scientific services that, as I will mention later, is also a very significant part of the success of the Institute. We also started to have a strong cooperation with the environment, with the creation of the Nanoscience Institute, also integration in the Fiber platform, and so on. And at that time, Barcelona Nano Cluster, it was an ecosystem to collaborate with all the neighbors. And again, a fourth floor and the generation of NanoChem and the clean room facility and so on was developed. At that stage, we already celebrated the 25th anniversary, which was a turning point in order to think what we wanted to do in the next 15 years. And so now that the 15 years have gone, we cannot think again if we succeed on the objectives that we had at that time. But of course, the main objective was to become a center of excellence, and the formation of the Severo Ochoa in 2016, the first time that we succeed, was a really turning point to increase the excellence of the Institute. I must say that we achieved the Severo Ochoa level in the fifth trial. So it was really a lot of work before being able to do that. Then there was the second Severo Ochoa. We amplified all the cooperation with the synchrotron alpha, and now with the third Severo Ochoa, which is already, as we saw this today, is running very well. So as a sign of the success of in achieving excellence, I can mention what is usually taken as one of these levels. How many ERC projects do you have? The first one was in 2012 by Marta Mas. And then all these ERC projects have been appearing all these years. So the total number is 27 ERCs when we count all the different categories. And so we are really a high, we have a high leadership in Spain in this thing, in Spain and in Europe in this thing. So it's a good sign of the excellence that we have achieved. I don't have time to mention as well many European projects that we have succeeded in getting. Just as an example, the last 6 years, we have about 58 European projects of all levels. So in about 50% of the competitive projects of the Institute is actually coming from Europe. As an example, it was also mentioned yesterday, the COFUN programs, we are the first in the CSIC, and actually nearly in Spain, to get this, to lead these projects. And we have a first DocFam and a second DocFam, DocFam Plus, related to advanced materials. So it's a good sign of the leadership that we have. Also, as another indicator, the ICMAB was the first CSIC institute in H2020 in getting a fund from European Union. So it's a couple of snapshots of showing that we are very strong in that. As I mentioned before, the industrial objective, so to get a strong cooperation with industry, was started since the beginning. Actually, just in the first year of the formation of the Institute, we had already an industrial project, champagne, Codorniu, so it's very unusual, but it was very useful to get a better champagne out of the crystallization of the things that you have in the champagne. And then here I have just made a selection of companies and large scale installations, spin-offs and so on, that we have been interacting, creating, collaborating and so on during all these years. And of course, we are never happy enough in the industrial collaboration, but it's already very significant. And we have created 6 spin-offs, and we create now in the range of 7 patents per year and so on. All this endeavor of cooperation with industry and, let's say, final institutions has also helped us to understand how it works from the functional materials to the industry, how tough is this road. So that is a long, winding road. And we know that from the academia to the industry and the final users, we need to cross many barriers, okay, of cooperation with hospitals, with the industries of materials, electronics, biology, and so on and so on. And now we know that it's not easy to make all this path, but more and more we succeed. And of course, we need a lot of cooperation with other agents outside the Institute to succeed. So let me now enter in the part of the we call the coalescence stage. The coalescence stage actually started in 2005 or something like this, when the CSIC started for the first time to define strategic plans. So of course we didn't know at all what it was in a strategic plan. So we learned how to form a strategic plan. So this means to have interaction of integrating of the institute in this complex wheel that you have here of materials, final users, functionalities, and so on. The biggest help in creating this was actually that we coordinated Consolidate and Select project. It was 70% formed by people in the institute, and this helped already to form a strong interaction with the groups. Also, the creation of CIVER at the same time for the biomedical sector was also very useful. So let's say that the formation of the strategic plans started to define a scientific profile for the long term in the institute. Okay, this was about 2007. The first Severo Ochoa arrived in 19, sorry. And so you can just imagine that every year we were improving this strategic plan from the initial 10 research lines to define properly how to manage. And so I would say that the first definition of the matrix structure of the activity of the institute with a kind of transverse and broad research knowledge that we have, we could go to oriented research from these three lines of electronics, energy, and biomaterials or biomedical applications. So the first time we are in the conditions of attending this general global objective of generating knowledge in material science and transfer to the society within the European research area. We were already in the position of doing this very ambitious program. This was the FUNMAT. The second project that arrived later had a similar structure. I would say that we created these 5 research lines integrating all types of materials and all types of applications. We also started to create new management units and commissions that were essential to support all these very ambitious research activities. And the second Severo Ochoa arrived with Fund Future, and Rosa was the coordinator of this project. And we advanced much more in the development of the strong competitiveness at the international scenario in this area, which is the specific goal of the Severo Ochoa activities. And finally, now with the third Severo Ochoa, we keep the 3 big areas or big objectives, and we define different research challenges in order to advance in the competitiveness at the international scenario. So it's clear that the Severo Ochoa actions were essential in order to succeed in becoming excellent centers. But all this was made possible by this, what I call the jewel of the crown, which is actually the scientific services in the institute. So this is the big objective of the institute, to have enough people, trained people, and enough facilities in order to succeed in being competitive in the international scenario. Now we are doing more, I'd say 5,000 experiments per year, but probably is already more. About 30% of the lab space in the institute, and enough technical staff promoting this. So this is the internal facilities, but also now we strongly collaborate with the environment, with ALBA, for instance, with electron microscopy and other facilities, and also with other institutes around us or the university. And this helps a lot us to have enough critical mass in the facilities in order to be competitive in the international scenario. So all this is done, but it's done by the people. So the people is that. So that's the number of people that we have since 1986, or just a few tens of people who created the institute. This is the total people being at the institute during the year. Of course, the strong growth that we have when the Severo Ochoa started is actually also associated to the fact that we receive much more master and undergraduate students which are attracted to become or know more about material science and so on. So this is for the total people, and now is a very significant number. But of course, the permanent staff, the scientists and support staff, has been growing much more smoothly. And of course, we would like to still increase more, but we need more means, more square meters and so on to continue with this process. It's very important to say that since the beginning, we started with an international flavor. And so typically now we have more than 35 countries represented in the Institute, so it's a very international scenario. And about 50% of the PhDs or postdocs are from abroad. So it's clear that we extend all the activities all around the world. The main goal of the Institute, or one of the main goals of the Institute, is to train scientists. And so how many PhDs we have formed? 450 PhDs have been already achieved in the Institute in the middle of 2025, which is also a very, very significant number of people. And so this means that all effort in the attracting people is very important. About 50% are now in industry, technological center, or activities in the economical sector. And in the academia, it's about 40%. And particularly from the permanent researchers of ICMAB, about 30% prepare the PhD in the Institute. So we have something like a Masia, the Barça Masia. Here we have good people, which is trained and keep here. So we select the best. But it's clear that we have national and international positions created by all these people around the world. But of course, to run all this, we need money. And to attract money and to increase the budget is one of the key objectives of the Institute. We have more than 60% of the budget, which is coming from a competitive course. And so this means that our institutes are actually strongly entrepreneurs in order to get money from everywhere, from industry, from Europe, from Catalan and Spanish course, and so on. For instance, we were, several years, we were the second SIC institute in getting the largest number of competitive funds. As you can see, in the stage of the Severo Ochoa, being a center of excellence has been very helpful in order to attract more money for the institute. So I don't know if this exponential thing will continue, so at a certain stage we'll saturate, but probably we cannot grow indefinitely. Okay, and then the outputs of all these activities, people and money and space and so on, is that we are creating a strong scientific impact worldwide. So as you can see here, since the beginning, we have made more than 7,000 articles, which have already received more than 270,000 citations, which is really a very significant number. Okay, as you can see, now the stage of growth was immediately detected in the number of publications, but at the stage of coalescence, or Crystal, what you are doing is actually creating and selecting what you are doing. And now we are in the level of about 250 articles per year, which is already very significant for this institute and the number of people. The sectors where we are active is, of course, first, all these multidisciplinary activities in material science, chemistry, and physics. This is the key, let's say, know-how of the institute. And then we apply all this knowledge to several physical and chemical and nanoscience objectives. And so this is the main number of articles in all these sectors of these categories from the Web of Science. And also here you can see how strong we cooperate with other countries. Okay, about 65% of our articles have been made in cooperation with the other countries, mainly in Europe, but also in US, China, and Japan, for instance. And so it means that we have a strong cooperation all around the world. 50% of these articles are corresponding authors, so we are really leading these articles and so on. I think it's also important, at least, to mention that we are in Catalonia, and in Catalonia, as you know, there is a strong development of science, of different institutions. And I would like just to mention that the way that ICMAB has in the development of the specific areas of materials in Catalonia is very strong. So here you have a list of the categories on the Web of Science, where the CSIC institutes in Catalonia are among the first, second, or third highest activity in the number of articles and citations. As you can see from the 21st categories where the CSIC Catalonia are in the top 3, we are the main contributors for 8 of them, okay? And the percentage of the publications and the impact that we have in these areas can be from the 20 to 50%, which is very significant. So this means that actually even the CSIC is small in Catalonia, in the specific areas where we are active, we are very strong. And so, in my opinion, should be taken into account more strongly than is made now. Okay, so at the national and international scenario, I don't have time to mention too much, but at a certain stage we made a comparison of the 5 research lines as compared to other institutes in the CSIC, and we realized that the 4 more well-defined activities in energy storage, superconductivity, side electronics, and molecular electronics were the first or second institutes. And of course, in the case of the biomaterials, because the field is much broader, the institute was still very in the top. But as you will see, the activity in biomaterials has been strongly increasing in the institute. We achieved also the first position in the Nature Index in certain years, and as it was mentioned yesterday or these days, we are very competitive in the benchmarking with other international institutes as well. For instance, the case of the bio, I wanted just to show that if you select the word bio in the Web of Science, you realize that the institute is, at the beginning, the activity was nearly 0, and it's strongly growing during these years. It's probably not very serious, these numbers, okay? But it's just to show that the activity is more and more increasing, the bio-related activity at ICMAB, which is also a definition of the institute. The quality of the work that we have made can be in some way expressed by these numbers. So this is the number of the articles published in all these journals of the highest impact factor. We have more than 650 articles with impact factor larger than 10, or nearly 500 articles with more than 100 citations. And what is important is the colors. As you can see, we have really multidisciplinary activities in physics, chemistry, materials, and interdisciplinary things. So I think it's very significant, these numbers as well. Just to complete, the Institute has received, either the people or the Institute as a collective actions, a lot of outstanding awards and recognitions since the beginning. So here is just a few names of the prizes at the Catalan level, international level, Spanish level, and even the Institute also has received distinctions in several topics like sustainability or equity and so on. So I think it's important to say that the people is well recognized, and so this is a snapshot, but if we make a full list of the prizes and recognitions that we have received, it's really very significant. And also the commitment of the research people in the Institute in taking outstanding positions in politics of science politics or international societies and so on is very important. Here we have editors from all type of journals. We have representations in societies and so on and so on. So of course it's since the beginning, and more we have all the topics where the people is significant is represented here. And so in the Catalan level or the Spanish level. Okay, and of course, as it was also mentioned these days, the effort to have impact in society has been continuously growing and is more and more developing in the Institute. We reach a lot of different aspects in the social life, training, attracting young people, and so on and so on. And this communication and outreach activity is a distinction of the activities of the Institute. Just to complete, I would say that after 40 years, many of the, or a significant number of people of the initiators or the pioneers, let's say, are stopping already their activity or are not anymore with us. And so, of course, I would like to acknowledge the effort and the recognition that we have achieved because of their effort in many different activities and this is already the time that 40 years later that this changes. Okay, looking at the future, it's clear that ICMAB has a full sense to continue these activities. The number of scientific and technological social challenges that we have ahead are extremely important. And so it's clear that science and technology is essential in order to have a strong impact in the environment issues, economy issues, society issues, and so on. And so I think that reason to survive ICMAB and to become even more active in all these fields is really very important. So just to complete, I would like to remember that when we had the celebration of 25 years, I had the opportunity now to read again what we wanted to be at that time. The first thing that we wanted to be was to be a center of excellence. And so I would say that, okay, we have reached this, we are able to do that. And so now maybe it's the time, in 10 years, we will have half a century. So maybe it's time to think again what else we can do in the next 10 years. It's clear that we have now a nice crystal, well-formed, which can be very functional. And so I don't know in 10 years what we'll be able to do. What we can do is, caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Okay, thank you very much. And vamos.
Xavier, I'd just like to say thank you so much. I mean, I loved the talk. I'm sure everyone did, because seeing all of this perspective, really, I mean, it must be an enormous pride for you as well for the number of years you spent as director. And I think all of us can be very happy about where we're going and where we come from. Thank you so much.
Okay.